Hey, it's Jack, and this video is how can you stop thinking of him, or how can you stop thinking about an ex? Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here with me. I'd love for you to be here on a more regular basis. So if you haven't, please just go ahead, click this button, hit subscribe, and then hit that bell notification so that you can hear about new videos. My name is Jack Butler. I release videos 2 to 3 times a week on relationships and real personal development, real love, real freedom. This is kind of the real stuff on this channel. I don't BS. Most people reflect to me that they find it real and authentic, and I'd love for you to be part of the learning journey and community here, which is an awesome community. I'm overwhelmed in a great way by the level of engagement and comments that this community brings. Thank you if you've been part of that. So let's get into it. I'm going to give you 7 things that you can do, 7 pretty crunchy practical things that will help you get him off your mind and stop obsessing in your thinking about him. So number 1, you've probably heard it before, but let's get it to happen. Number 1, go no contact. And by going no contact, what I mean is, let's really go no contact. So no contact means you don't text, you don't call, you don't just hit each other up randomly and say, hey, just thinking of you, or hey, wondering how you're doing. You actually do the hard work of going no contact, and you make a communication and a declaration to him if needs be, or to a friend if you're no longer in regular contact with him or that's not appropriate, to say, hey, I'm actually going no contact for the next, and you set a specified period of time. And I would suggest the minimum time that would be is 30 days, and it might be as many as 60, 90, or even 180 days if that's what you need to really get someone out of your system. And if you're not sure, perhaps what you do is you go for a lower amount, and you then use that as an opportunity to check in and say, hey, am I over them? And if I'm not, then I may need to go no contact for a longer period of time. Now, the reason you do this is to remove the reminder, right? If you think about having, well, I've even just got this here, a little cut in my nose. What you want is for the scab to develop, right? And for the scab to develop, you actually can't develop it if you're picking at it all the time, right? You actually need some time and space to heal. You need some time and space to heal. And you don't heal if you're constantly reminded of your ex because they're hitting you up, and they may be hitting you up nothing to do with the fact that they're here to come back meaningful in your life. They may be hitting you up because they miss you and they miss the connection. And if you had anything meaningful in your connection, at some level they probably will miss you in the connection, but that doesn't mean that you need to be in contact with them if what you've determined is that you actually want to move on in your life. So go no contact and think about what are your substitute behaviors going to be. So think about, it's likely at some point I may have an inclination to want to reach out to them. What am I going to do instead? Am I going to reach out to a friend? Am I going to reach out to my coach? Am I going to take myself off to the cinema? Am I going to go and take a drink in a local bar? Have those things thought through, because then in your moment of sort of weakness, you can still support yourself and do something that's beneficial for you longer term. All right, in at number 2 is remove their presence from your life, both online and offline. Remove their presence from your life. Now, this might sound a bit drastic, and I think it's often really powerful if you're willing to do it. You want to remove the little reminders that keep you fixated on them, right? We used to talk about VCRs, back in the day when we had video players, not MP3s and Netflix. Visual constant reminders. And this was a way of helping you achieve your goals, right? You would put your reminder, you'd put your Post-it note on your fridge and on your bathroom mirror and in your car and in your journal, anywhere that would just keep reminding you, yeah, I have this goal that I want to pursue. It's the same logic in reverse that applies here. If you don't want to keep thinking about him, then remove the things that remind you of him, right? Now that might mean physically you go around your home space and maybe you put some photos away. Maybe you remove those tickets that you've had that was the concert that you were going to go to, right? Or maybe there's a scrapbook of memories you have that you put away. I also want to encourage you to do the same thing in an online environment, right? Unfollow him on Facebook and Instagram. And if you subscribe to his email list or any of those things, doesn't mean that in the future, if in right timing you've healed your heart and you can be in a friendship or a different orientation to him, you can always go back on those things. You can even let him know if it were appropriate. Hey, I need some time and space. We're going no contact. I will be unfriending you. You don't have to do it as an act of war. You can do it as an act of kindness to both of you, right? Because here's the bottom line of this, just to get a bit crunchy. If I really love you and I don't want to be in a relationship with you, the loving thing is actually to let you go. And if what you need to let me go is that you unfriend me, I may not like her, I may feel rejected, I may wish it didn't have to be so, but if I'm really mature and loving, I'm going to let you do that and be okay with it, because I know that that's what you need to heal. And if I love you, I want you to heal. If I love you, I don't want you to be fixated on me if I'm not going to be available to you in that way. Right? If I really love you, I'm going to want you to be in relationship with a guy that's available to you. That's like real altruistic love. So this doesn't just benefit you. This is not just a self-centered thing. This is mutually beneficial. And it will stop you in your quiet moments suddenly being like, oh, well, what's he doing? What's he up to? Let me go and check him out. No, stop doing that. That's just hurting you. That's just not allowing that scab to form that you want to form. Right? You need that time and space to heal. Again, you might want to think about substitute behaviors. If you're about to go on his Instagram, you're going to call a friend instead and say, hey, I really want to go on his Instagram and I'm calling you instead. Right? Be kind of mature about noticing, yeah, it might not be easy all the time, particularly if it's late at night or you're lonely or whatever your trigger points might be. Or maybe it's like, yeah, you know that if you're going to go to a particular thing that you would have gone to together, that you might need to go with someone else, or you might need to not go to that place. You know, if there was a special place that you guys hung out, don't go there and get nostalgic. Nostalgia is just keeping you in the past mostly, even if it's a nice feeling at times. You want to do what's going to keep you present to yourself. So remove his presence online and offline. All right, the third thing you might want to pay attention to, is there anything that still needs to be said? Right? Sometimes in order for you to let someone go, there's actually a truth that needs to be declared. Right? Maybe you need to say, and this could be to him or it could be to yourself, right? That you write an email that you don't send, or you journal. Or it could be that you want it witnessed, and so you send it to a trusted other person, right? Like a friend or a coach. And you kind of reveal what it is that you wanted to say. Maybe you thought he was the one, and that actually needs to be said. For you to see it, make it object, right? So that now you're no longer just subject to it. You can actually see more clearly, oh yeah, I thought he was the one, and that is actually being let go of. But in order to see it, I need to acknowledge it. So it's your chance to actually let out the things that might be difficult, the hopes, the dreams, the fantasies, the ideas you had. Maybe there's some particularly powerful memories that you need to share or have someone witness. It's basically saying, don't shy away from what is difficult about letting him go. Be in contact with it in service of letting it go. And I'm not talking about, suddenly reliving every last moment and rereading the entire journal or scrapbook. No, I'm just saying there might be some things that if they've been left unsaid, and if you keep leaving them unsaid, it's like a hook into the past. So this is really about clearing your psycho-emotional decks. It's about becoming up to present and letting those hooks go. And sometimes there needs to be a declaration. Something actually needs to be voiced. Maybe you need to go and do a little grief ceremony. Maybe you need to take some photos and actually burn them and let them go. Again, not as an act of war, as an act of kindness. You'll know what the real intention is, but if the real intention is to let him go and heal, you've got to be honest with yourself that that's what the intention is, and then take some actions that are in alignment with that. Okay, the fourth thing that you might want to do is put a renewed focus on your own life, right? When we've been in relationship, we are often oriented to the we, right? There's a mutuality in our lives. There's another person that you're considering, you're thinking about, you're sharing reality with, particularly if you've been in a kind of real or deep or long-term relationship. And that is now different. If you really want to let your ex go, you might have to really renew with vigor the attention you have on your own life. What are your own dreams? What are your own hobbies? What are your own passions? What are your own ways you want to develop your career? What are ways you want to invest in yourself? What are ways that you notice, even based on that previous relationship, what inner work do you have to do? Right? Maybe you need to look at some stuff to do with your past. Maybe there's some things you need to heal. Maybe there's issues you have with control. Maybe you need to learn how to surrender. Could be all sorts of things, but getting clear, okay, I have some development work to do, not just because it didn't work out with him in relationship. There's some stuff on my side of the fence. And getting over a relationship and moving on can be a great time to really look at what is on my side of the fence, right? Maybe there's a repeating pattern you've been noticing in a relationship. What would it take for you to really clearly see with sobriety and compassion that there's a pattern that you have in you that's running and you want to relax it? You want to let that script go. And that might be investing in some coaching, right? It might be being part of a women's group or who knows what. But the focus is, this is actually for you to do. And I'm not doing it because I'm trying to get back with him. I'm doing it because in sobriety, I realize, yeah, this is actually my work to do, right? Maybe there's a way that you don't feel free in relationship and you tend to bounce out of them. right? Or maybe there's a way that you kind of go in so deep, but you realize your heart isn't available. It's kind of closed, and you might want to do some heart opening work. That work is going to be yours to do. It may be that you can do it in a future relationship. Why not start that now? Why not be really clear and grounded soberly in the realities of what is relationship waking you up to? What are we here? Number 5, get support. Number 5, get support. In Western culture, I think at large, a lot of us are pretty bad at getting support. Either we have a value on being self-sufficient, or we don't want to put people out, or we subjectify people, right? Which we imagine is that the way that they would receive a request for help is the way that I would receive a request for help. And at certain times in your life, you're going to need more support than others. That's just the reality. So if you can be with that, you might want to notice, I have a specific request for support. I have a friend that I maybe only see, once every other month, and now I want to see them twice a month, or I want to see them every week. I want to be part of a particular support group, or I want to know and let someone know, hey, there might be the odd night where I'm feeling really down and lonely, and I'd love if I could just give you a quick call, and you don't even need to do anything, just listen to me rant for a little bit, or just be with me, just so I know that I'm not alone in this world, right? So have a think about what is the request for support you might want to make. And I really want to encourage you to get nuanced here, right? By which I mean, how is it that you specifically would feel supported, right? It's not just what does your friend think would support you. What do you know would have you feel supported? Is it physical presence? Is it just knowing you can call someone? Is it actually, I want my friends to help me take my mind off it and encourage me to do something I've never done before? Let's go and have fun. Let's go have an away weekend. Let's have a girls' night. Let's go traveling. Let's read a new book together. Let's form a book club. Whatever it might be that for you would really allow you to feel supported, and that you're not just having to go through this process on your own. And the other thing is that you might want to think about getting professional support, right? If you're really struggling to move on from something, it may be worth investing a few $100 or more or pounds or whatever your currency is in getting help, because you stewing in your own juices and basically disrupting your own mental health and fantasizing about something that's not really happening and keeping hooks in the past, that's not really helping you. And it might be that it's actually a really justifiable use of time, energy, and resources to support you in your hour of need, which if you're struggling to let go of someone, I would put it to you that you might be in one of your hours or times or seasons of need. All right, number 6 is get out there. Number 6 is kind of, rather than stewing in your own juices, get out there. Go and notice that you're not the only one in the world that has problems. Go find someone that's got a bigger problem than you. Go find someone whose life is going to be cut short. Go and find someone who is, grieving not just their boyfriend, but the loss of a family member. Go notice that it's not the only problem in the world is the one that you have right now. Go and put it in perspective. Or go on a few dates. Dating can be a good way of just getting over. Just notice, there are more fish in the sea, right? There are guys that you're going to have a connection with. There are fun dates to be had, even if you don't want anything serious, even if you get it, I'm kind of vulnerable and on a rebound. Go have a date. Go have a friend date. Go have a date where you're like, I'm not available for anything, but I would love to go have a play buddy or an adventure partner. Let's go on a hike. Let's go to a new restaurant. Let's kind of bring the new energy into your life. What you want to avoid is that you're stagnating in your own fixated thought patterns. And one of the ways to avoid that is to get connection and reflection from other people. And if you know you're bad at this, again, this related to point number 5, this might be where you make a request for support and say to your friend, look, I know I kind of need to get out. I'm not really making it happen. Could you organize a girls' night? Or could you take me somewhere? Or could you arrange a blind date for me? I'm not getting out there and I don't want to do this online dating platform stuff, but I know I want to go on a date. Could you help me? They can say no. It can be a request, not a demand. And if you can make that happen, it might just allow you to get some perspective and to get some fresh and new energy running in your life. All right, so in now at number 7, this is the last one I've got here, is delimit the time that you will think about him. Delimit the time you will think about him. And what I mean by that is, if you know you have a tendency to be thinking about this guy and you want to let him go, you can give yourself set windows of time that you will allow yourself to think about him. And the contract that you're striking with yourself is that you get to think about him at those times. Other times, you're going to do your best to not think about him at all. So it's almost like your psyche knows there's a little bit of a space for you to process, right? And it might be that you get your journal during those times and you actually really in real time feel and process what's coming up. You know, maybe it's some difficult memories, maybe it's, you know, positive memories, maybe it's questions you have about did you do things that you could have done differently, or what does this mean for the future? Kind of give that a space, but delimit it, which means put a limitation on it. Say, okay, you've got an hour on, it's going to be Wednesday night, you know, or you've got half an hour every night, or I'll think about him, you know, for 15 minutes on my lunch break, or whatever is a structure that would support you. But it's basically, you don't get to just ebb on and go, thinking about him all the time. You're actually going to bring some structure and some discipline. Say it's important, but it's not your whole life. And then go do something else. Go plant a tree. Go volunteer. Go, you know, sort out your taxes, your finances. Go watch a movie. It's like kind of get out of yourself, not by avoiding what's going on, but by giving it set time and then realizing, hey, enough is enough. And I actually need to take some time to cultivate the things that I want in my life. So those are my top 7 things. I would love to know your experience of these. If you want to come to my webinar and you haven't, I would love to make an invitation to you here. You can click, it will be the first link below this video. You can find a time that works for you. It's an on-demand webinar that will run in your time zone, so find a time that works for you. And it's been getting rave reviews. It's a great webinar. It will teach you some things about how you can be more relationship ready, and it's all about helping you do the work on your side of the fence so that you are capable of a more mature relationship and you're more capable of discerning who is the right guy to be in relationship with. So if any of those things are interesting to you, I really want to just encourage you to click that link and make it happen. Let's get you on the webinar. And in the meantime, if you've been listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I'm struggling to get over him, and I realize one of the things I'm experiencing is that I've got a lot of grief or difficult emotions that are coming up, I want you to go and watch this video here. I'm putting this video here specifically because I think it will deepen the work that we've done together on this video. So that would be a great next one to watch. And as always, I'm Jack. Thanks for being with me on this video.